How y'all doing? Tracy's Kitchen and Appalachian Adventures. I'm going to talk to you today in this video. Why don't we as Americans have a right to decide the percentage of immigrants that come into this country? The percentage of immigrants from what country that come into this American country? Why don't we as the voters, I'm talking about legitimate legal citizens here. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm not talking about the fake citizens. I'm not talking about the illegals. Why don't the real legitimate people who have a right to vote in this country, why can't we decide the percentage of people that come into this country from what country? Why can't we decide it? Now, if you look at these statistics, if you do your research on Google, the vast majority of immigrants come from Mexico, Central America. There's a small percentage that comes from China, Japan, and Korea, the Philippines, and then other countries like the European countries, the Arab nations. But a big chunk of those immigrants come from Central America. Now, Donald Trump's chief of staff, or whatever his name, he may have been the chief of staff, I don't know, but he had a pretty high position in the Donald Trump administration. He said the majority of immigrants that come across the border are poor. We all know that. They have a second or third grade education. So let me stop right there. Okay, now, why does the United States need an influx of people? I'm not racist, I'm real. Okay? I'm real, y'all. I'm not being racist. I wish some of you stupid trolls would stop saying I'm being racist. I'm not. I'm being real. I live out in the real world among real people. Now, if you're a Central American and you're female, you have a second or third grade education. Realistically, what is there for you to do in the United States? You cannot get any type of high-tech job. You cannot get any type of management job. You cannot work at a bank. You cannot even get a job manufacturing tools or anything. Okay? So what is there for you to do? If you're a female from Central America, what else is there for you to do but come to America and get on welfare? That's what you want. I know that's what they want. Okay, the government's going to pay for your housing. We all know that. The government's going to pay for your food. We all know that. The government's going to raise your children till they're 18. We all know that too. So if you're a male from Central America and all you have is a second or third grade education, we know what you're going to do too. You're going to live with one of those women, and you're going to get the government to pay for the rent and the food, etc. You're going to get a job with a white contractor with no resume, no background check, no nothing. Now, why does America need an influx of second and third grade educated people? Why do we need an influx of people like that? Now, they wouldn't let blacks do that. When blacks were coming out of slavery, they emphasized schools. Blacks built schools, even though they were burned down. The blacks built schools, but, so the adults will have more than a second or third grade education. Okay, now what about the Central American roaches? This is a off the topic thing, but what about the roaches? They're 4 times the size of the American roaches. Okay, the grocery stores. I'm just reading some of the impact the Central Americans have had on this country. The grocery stores cannot keep up with demand. They get milk gone and eggs gone in the next 24 hours. They have disrupted the real estate market. They buy houses as soon as they are on the market. How they get the loan, I don't know. Okay, they pay no taxes. I mean, if an illegal has been here for 20 years, 30 years, what does that really mean? They haven't paid any kind of taxes for the last 20 years, for this last 30 years. Okay, so they're really just occupying space in this country. I don't care if they have a business. I don't care if the truth is, if they've been here for 20 or 30 years illegally, they are not paying taxes for 20 or 30 years. Now, blacks couldn't get away with that. What about the schools? Okay, now, if we had had an influx of Koreans or Asians they tend to be quote unquote good citizens. Okay, the parents work 12 hours a day and dry cleaners, whatever. I get that. Koreans, the Asians, they tend to be Koreans, the Asians, the Indians, and the Pakistanis. They tend to be high academic achieving students. Okay, the Africans also tend to be high academic achieving students. Why? Because they value education. Now, back 30 years ago, when I was in college, I met students from various parts of the United States, from California, New York, North Carolina, Virginia, Midwestern states, wherever. And they were super students, really smart, outstanding students. And now those same high schools that these students told me they were from, at that time, 30 years ago, they were high-tech high schools. I mean, all students wanted to be known that they were from those schools. But now those very same high schools, because of the influx of Central Americans, they have become drug havens. They have become gang havens for MS-13. I'm being real for a minute, y'all. These same high-tech high schools that used to be so outstanding. They were so outstanding, they would prepare you for the first 2 years of college. Okay? They have become drug havens. They become havens for MS-13 gangs. The American children, the black and white children, are afraid to even go to school. They go to school in fear. So how are the black students and the white students going to learn? Because they have to learn in fear. How are they going to learn anything? Okay? Why? And you know what? The Central American students, they bully the black students and bully the white students. So not only are these gangs, that Central American students, evidently, they're not interested in education. Okay? They're not. They're interested in forming gangs, making the drug haven, bullying the black students and bullying the white students. Okay? Now, if these same schools had had an influx of Asian students from, Korea, Japan, China, India, and Pakistan, these same schools, if they had an influx of these students from those ethnic backgrounds, these same schools would still be high-tech high schools. They wouldn't be haven for drugs and gangs. They would still be high-tech high schools, because these students from those ethnic groups tend to be better students. They tend to be better citizens, to tell the truth. The schools have been destroyed by the Central Americans. I'm being real. I'm not being racist. That sounds racist, but I'm being real. They have been destroyed by the Central Americans, because the Central Americans are not academic. They're not academic. And like I said, they have made these high schools havens for MS-13 drug gangs, instead of being a place where you can learn and be an outstanding student, prepare yourself for college. The Central Americans have destroyed the high schools. And you know what? Everybody knows that too. Everybody knows the Central Americans have destroyed the high schools. Where I live, they have destroyed the high schools. The kids can't learn. The kids go to school in fear. All because of the Central Americans. They're not interested in learning. And even the police say from ages 15 to 18, most of the Central Americans end up getting in trouble anyway with the law. So I do think that us voters should have a right to choose the percentage of people that come from what country, rather than have this automatic influx of Central Americans. The only one who wants them here seems to be the white contractors. And the American government's the only one who wants them here. I haven't heard one American say they want them here. So I think that, personally, I would vote for the Koreans. I vote for the Indians and Pakistan to come over here. And Africans. Why? Because they value education more. I don't think they would turn the high schools into drug havens. They tend to be entrepreneurs. I think they would add to this country. I don't think they would flood the welfare rolls. Like the Central Americans are flooding the welfare rolls. You know, everybody's afraid to say that. Now, I can't say that if I'm president of the United States, but I can say it as a private citizen. Everybody knows they are flooding the welfare rolls. But you know what? Stupid Uncle Sam allows it to happen. So if I was American citizens, I would definitely vote for the Asians to come here, the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Africans to come to what they call what Donald Trump called S-hole countries. Thus, that is who I would vote to come over here because they tend to be more academic. Why do we allow ethnic groups, and the United States knows that they are connected to terrorist organizations? They know they are connected to gangs. They know that. I don't get it. Have a nice day.